Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. You know, in the new Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, stated in his first speech to the United Nations Security Council that member societies, including religious leaders, take action to promote and prevention of global conflicts. And me, as a rabbi, member of a religious community, founder and director of the Institute of Noahide Code, I want to show you today that the Universal Noahide Code, we all talked about before, about the rule of law and how we're all the same. I'd like to start off maybe with a joke first, that there was once a rabbi who there was a leak in the congregation, in a synagogue. So he says, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news, we have money to fix the leak. But the bad news is, it's in your pocket. The bottom line is that we are all created by God. We all created, all human beings are created in the divine image. But the bad news is that we're not all the same. That God created a collage of people from different faiths, different backgrounds, different cultures. Culture is about, some people are more spiritual, more intellectual, some are more emotional. Everyone has a culture. It's like a body. The human body is made up of, to give an analogy of the human body is made up of a head, which is the faculties of the brain. Then you have the heart, which is the emotions. And you have different limbs that carry and do different functions. If you would try to say that the head, that the blood should be like the heart, like the blood which is in the heart should be like in the head, or vice versa, you would destroy a human being. You know, everyone knows that blood belongs in the heart, not in the head. If a person has, God forbid, a stroke or something of that nature, then you know, it's a major catastrophe. So we're not all created alike, but the good news is that we all have a function to unite as one body and to create that unity and diversity and have that all come together. The Institute of Noahide Code, I'm just going to read through my speech and then we'll take some questions, and if we could get a video, or if anyone wants to come on my TV show while you're here, I have a weekly TV show in Manhattan Cable every week, promoting unity amongst diversity. And the Institute of Noahide Code, which I'm the director of as an NGO, celebrating diversity, was conceived as an opportunity to unite the world, re-echoing the belief in the one God as the creator of all human beings, and the belief that we are all created in the divine image. This is the true meaning of harnessing diversity amongst different cultures. This is the foundation of our organization's goals, which we work together with Muslims, and we have Buddhists from Master Lu, and Christians, and all people from all different faiths. We've actually had an event over here, I think it was November 9th last year, in this room. And you could look it online, you could Google my name and you could see it online. Working alongside the United Nations and other partner organizations in hopes in promoting human rights and development and protecting freedom of religion. As rabbi and director of the Institute of Noahide Code, I'm heartened in coming to the United Nations headquarters with the Isaiah wall right across from the UN, which the day is mentioned that no nation will wage war against another nation, and swords, instruments of war, we transformed into plowshares. The universal Noahide laws are a means which humanity can strive to live in peace and unity. The respect for family, respect for others' property, respect for judicial system, and respect for all creatures and environments. The laws of Noah, or Universal Noahide Code, I like to say we promote UN, which stands for Universal Noahide, in the UN, in the United Nations. So it's UN for UN. It's a catchphrase we're going to use from now on, okay? And we're going to market Mr. Pico to promote UN in the UN, Universal Noahide in the UN. which Noah basically was before we were all became diverse people. All people come from Noah before that Adam, but we all come from our founding father is Noah. And these principles are a means by how you pray, whether you're more emotional, you're more intellectual, you like your food hot, you like it sweet, you like loud music, soft music, whatever you like. But these are the foundation. The laws of Noah, the Universal Noahide Code, comprise 7 universal biblical binding all humanity. And in the United States Congress, this was recognized as Public Law 10241. And to quote from a great sage, Rabbi Hillel, which is quoted in the United Nations headquarters on the wall, it says, if you look on the Norman Rockwell mural it has over there, it says, "Do not do unto others as you want done to yourselves." This is often quoted with another quote from Rabbi Hillel, the great sage. He says, "If I'm only for myself, what am I?" Humanity has a shared burden no matter where we live. And humanity has a common solution, which is Universal Noahide Code, which encompasses all religions, political, legal spheres, no matter where they hail from. The Universal Noahide Code was given to humanity on Mount Sinai, along with the Bible. There was a reconciliation of the entire barren landscape of the desert blossoming when the world was given this news. Nature stirred by the possibility of universal peace. These laws set forth peace between man and his creator and God, and between man and his fellow person or woman. It's just woman and fellow human being. The Secretary General told the Security Council we must rebalance our approach in peace and security. For decades, we have been dominated by responding to conflict. For the future, we need to do far more to prevent war and sustain peace. He said that we must find common and commit to the surge of diplomacy in peace, in partnerships with regional organizations, mobilizing the entire range of and influence with religious authorities and civil society and business community, meaning everyone has to work together. In Torah, in Judaism, the civil society and the rabbinic society and business all work hand in hand. So it's not separate branches that don't talk to each other and send memos and fight each other, but it's all working together in unison. The United Nations, on December 10th, 1948, which this organization was founded, signed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I propose that the Universal Noahide Code reflects the spirit of this document, which recognizes the rights of all human beings, and I further propose that the Universal Noahide Code deals with the responsibilities of the individual. Briefly, the Noahide Code, we could spend an hour or days here talking about each law, and it's not just these laws, it governs laws between fellow man. It has to do with how you conduct business, how you say good morning to your neighbor. It has to do with a whole range of laws, visiting the sick, burying the dead, etc., which are not included in these laws. These are like the 10 Commandments, which are a basis, which from this many laws and common law, and by the way, British law or Western law is based on this. From the Mosaic law, it comes from Iura Gratis. It's a whole nother subject. We could spend a whole nother afternoon on that, but we're not going to go into that. We're just going to briefly go through what they are, and you can do your own research at your own time. The first one is to believe in one God, to recognize that beings who out of love created the world, we are committed to all human rights, not to adore idols. To respect God means to praise Him, to speak kindly of the being who sustains the world for the good of mankind. To respect human life is to acknowledge that we are created as brothers and sisters, that each and one of us carries a divine spark, and we are vessels of the divine. To respect marriage is respect the cornerstone of society, which is the family. We respect the young, the old, the weak, and the infirm. To respect private property, lay the foundation for peaceful coexistence. We don't take what is not ours. To respect human life is to feed the animals even before we sit down to eat, allowing the animals to rest and respect life itself. And to create a judicial system is to bring order to society in our villages, in our provinces, in our nations, and as often said, no peace, no justice. The Secretary General said that the United Nations will launch an initiative to enhance the mediation capacity both in the United Nations headquarters as well as in the field, to support regional and national mediation efforts. My intention as founder and director of Universal Noahide Code is to call all 193 UN members states that comprise this organization to incorporate in their constitutions the Universal Noahide Code, that the Universal Noahide Ethics Day in the UN and a resolution on this, which we'll give you a copy to hand out and to review, and be passed to promote the responsibility for human beings, first of all, to their Creator, and from which this code originates, and then to its fellow human being. The Universal Noahide Code encompasses the principles of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030 agenda. The Universal Noahide Code, or UNC, is above all politics, justice, and religious systems and boundaries. It is part of all political, judicial, and religious systems because it transcends from that which is man-made. All different laws are man-made. This is godly, and it's a way that God gave us for us to live amongst the 70 nations that we don't all think alike, to all live in coexistence and harmony and peace. He who fashioned the moon, the stars, and the infinite vessels, just as mankind would exist, for the beloved vessel of the human being, peace is its goal. The vessel must be at peace, for blessing to float into it. The Universal Noahide Code, organized around the world, is a matter which He who fashioned it. Shalom and thank you, and I welcome your comments, please.
Thank you very much. We'd be happy to take some comments or questions. I think the first one is right here, and as always, if you briefly introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Weston, let me know this honorary guest is speaking about human rights. Do you feel this human right in Palestine? That's the realization of one thing. Yes, that's it. Sorry. Your neighbor countries, Israel and Palestine, is it human right is safe or realization? That's one thing. Okay. Other thing, the technical thing. You know, this is United Nations now is all of them recognize independent country, this Palestine. But why should you didn't recognize the Palestine the independent country?
Okay. Thank you. I'll respond very briefly to that. As a matter of fact, the Jewish people and the Muslim people have actually lived quite peacefully, more peacefully than the Christian people, for thousands and thousands of years. There is just before the establishment of the State of Israel, they lived in Iran, Iraq for thousands of years. The fact that I like to make a joke about it. Everyone took from I'm a rabbi with a lot of jokes. Everyone took from the Jewish people. Christianity, Islam, law, the rule of law came from Jewish people. Everything came from the Bible. So if you want to buy it wholesale and get the full jacket, not just one sleeve, come to the Jewish people. And it doesn't mean being Jewish. It means being who you are, Muslim, be a Muslim, but find the principles that unite us. Israel belongs to the Jewish people because it says in the Bible, not because the UN made a declaration. Thousands of years, it's been King Solomon built the temple, King David. This is going back for thousands of years. Abraham walked there. Your grandfather, where you come from, is Abraham. So we all saying that, and this is, and if you want to try to veer me into the political issue, I'm not going there. I'm telling you right now, because what I'm trying to prove to you over here is, if we take away the politicals, where the Democrat, Republican, this, that, we could argue and everyone's going to be screaming until they're blue in the face and we'll never agree. Or we could take a step back and say, what do we have in common? What unites us? And then we could live as brothers and sisters. Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead. She wants to. After, sorry. Yeah, sure.
My name is Daniel. I'm from Norway. For many years we've been a Christian country. We had a state church, but we removed this because of the growth of atheists. So the Noahide code, the first rule is do not deny God. Then how can you expect countries such as Norway to implement this rule if you have a growing population that do not believe in it?
Okay, very good question. In America, there was this challenge because of the separation of church and state, meaning that the government cannot, it's freedom of religion, and the government cannot impose any religion on any people. And if you want to go to a church, a mosque, and I argue that, by the way, marriage shouldn't be imposed. This to give you a little side that marriage is between man and wife, and if the government should not interfere in redefining that, and if they want to, they could issue a license to marry, and if you decide to get married in a church, mosque, or synagogue, that's your choice, and not to get married at all. The same rights should apply, just like they issue a driver's license. But to answer your question, the American government had that issue between church and state, and they overcame it by saying it's education. Obviously, if you're going to say there's no God, one of the first laws is to believe in God. There's a famous saying: "There's no atheist in a foxhole." Even though they threw they tried to. The issue of having a church controlling the government was very dangerous, because like you see what's going on in the Middle East or what happened in Europe is dangerous, because then you don't have freedom of religion. You have one religion, that's all. If you don't dance to their party, you're out on a stake or somewhere. But the point is, they overcame it in America by having it promoted as education and so on. It doesn't have to say it's respect God. It doesn't have to say you have to pray to in a church or in. It says respect the higher authority. But I think if they overcame that issue in America with church and state, I think the same issue could be overcome in Norway. And I welcome you to present it, and at least to see if this is an issue. And I'd like to hear back. Anyone wants to email me, you could kindly email me, Rabbi Cohen at Noahide or Cohen48@gmail.com, if you want to email me these questions. One more question? Yeah. What? Okay.
Maybe the final question.
Yeah, please I would like to introduce myself. I'm Emir Blaise from Tunisia. I study in the United Nations, Japan, renewable energy. My question is, if you want to speak about tolerance, stop judge each other about the religion. Just speak about how can use this humanity to each other. That's my.
See, the question is, see, one of the fundamental issues over here is you have to unite political and religious leaders together. You have to unite everyone together to solve the problem. It's you're not going to solve an electrical. To give you an example, if you have a house where you have an electric and you have a leak in your, you have a plumber and you have an electrician, and each one is working in separately, not working together, you're not going to solve the problem. They have to work together, and religious leaders have to come to the table and say, I've had imams here, I've had Buddhist sheikhs here, I've had rabbis, I've had Christian scholars from all over. Everyone has come, and everyone has come together on this issue, and saying that the Universal Noahide Code is 1,000% what their religion teaches. So I think it's just getting everyone to sit down around this table, and we'll have UN in the UN, which is Universal Noahide in the UN. And I welcome you to go back to your respective countries and to lobby, because I think throwing out the bathwater, baby in the bathwater, and saying there's no religion, there's no God, and then you have to allow freedom of religion, and not. See, America was founded on very principles of freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. Meaning, obviously, if someone wants to be an atheist, you could come. You have to study. You have to appreciate. In Judaism, it teaches us to challenge and to ask questions and to use the intellect. And Chabad Hasidus, in particular, has a very rich understanding of how to prove the existence, how we finite mortals could relate to an infinite being. And it takes years of study, and it's not something you'll learn over 1 second, but it's to challenge and to study, and it's open to non-Jews also. You don't have to be Jewish, and that's the thing. Be a righteous Gentile, whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Buddhist, whoever it is, but find the commonality and find the lesson that exists in the Torah for thousands of years. And we'd love to, everyone to. We'd like to sail. If we do it in Manhattan, where every nation lives there, we could do it anywhere. Thank you.
Rabbi Cohen, thank you again very, very much for having come. Let's please express our sincere gratitude.